real.
Hey guys, welcome to Peter Parker Movie Reviews, and today we're going to talk about Split. So, Split is directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and M. Night Shyamalan is the type of director that's more of a hit or miss. And the reason why I say that is because in the last 5 years, he's directed a lot of bad stuff. Like, a lot of bad stuff. And after he made a movie, I was like, Shyamalan, come on, man. Don't do this. You're gonna make a bad movie? Are you gonna make a bad movie?
What? No!
And I'm the Avatar. I ran away, but I'm back now.
Split is about a person named Kevin who has multiple personality disorder. He has different personalities such as Dennis, Patricia, Hedwig, and to name 21 more personalities that he never plays. But mostly we see in the story these three personalities that take over the character of Kevin. Kevin goes and basically kidnaps a bunch of teenage girls, three girls who he basically sees as not pure, which is a very horror movie villain thing to do, is to kill the non-pure teenagers. So Kevin kidnaps these three girls, and these three girls, one of these three girls is Casey, which is a protagonist. And basically Casey went through some troubles in her past, and we kind of see the way she escapes this room from Kevin. James McAvoy plays three interesting characters. He plays Hedwig, which is a 9-year-old kid. He also plays Patricia, which is the mother of all the personalities. And he also plays Dennis, which is an OCD type of person who has some sort of fetish of naked girls dancing. McAvoy does an incredible job playing all these characters, and it's believable, and it's really great, and I think he did an amazing job. Casey, who was played by Anya Taylor-Joy, did an incredible job as well. She's also an interesting character because she's not your typical girly girl type of character where she's just like basically a regular teenage girl. She's more to that, and you can see the layers that peel off as the movie goes on, and we kind of discover what she really went through and how she is. In the beginning, we get a little bit of exposition, which is a tiny bit sloppy. After that, it really picks up, becomes really tense, becomes really interesting, and it basically catches your attention right away. The credits are really cool because a lot of times films don't do things with the credits. Usually credits are like skylines of the city or very boring, typical things that Hollywood does. But in this case, we see the credits have something to do with the story. And that's something really interesting to see in the film because people like Hitchcock used to use the credits to kind of give the tone of the movie and kind of give you a subtle message of what the movie is about, and just using the credits. So right in the beginning, we see the credits have different names and there's like all these little slots, it just basically symbolizes all the personalities. The score is really fantastic. Reminds me of Seven. It's really creepy. It's really basically gives you goosebumps. And it really reminded me of that beginning where the bad guy from Seven is putting all these little things together in this little collage, and it reminded me a lot of that. Right in the beginning, when we see Casey with the other girls, we constantly see these lines that divide these three characters, sorry. Casey is basically divided by a line with these other two girls. And in the beginning, you're like, why is she being divided by these two girls? Because we know in the beginning that she doesn't really get along with the other girls because she's different or weird or socially awkward. But as the film goes along, we understand why these lines are dividing these characters. So right there, I appreciate the audiovisual language of the division of the lines between these two characters. Casey goes through these flashbacks, and in the beginning you're like, well, who's Casey? Like, is she the person that kidnapped the girls, or is Casey the girl main protagonist? Like, you're a little confused who Casey is because you don't really know who this flashback belongs to. There's a part in the movie where Kevin goes to see the psychologist, and she notices right away Kevin has this OCD, and she notices how that's unusual because usually the person that goes to see her, which is Barry, doesn't have OCD. So right there, it's really interesting because we understand that Kevin has these different personalities right away, and how she picks up on each different personality and how she knows who she's talking to just by the way he or she acts. There's also a part of the movie where it really reminded me of Psycho, but I'm not gonna tell you guys what part that is. You just watch this film and figure it out yourself. But there's a little tip of the hat to Psycho, and I thought it was kind of cool of Shyamalan to do that because it fits well with the tone of the movie. There's also part of the movie where we see that Patricia works against other personalities, and how these three personalities that Kevin has are basically trying to take over the body and try to take the spotlight and control him. You basically understand that not all the personalities he has are bad. Just some of them are good and some of them are really bad, and some of them are monsters. The psychiatrist believes that Kevin doesn't have a disorder, but it's more of an evolution. It's more of a way to adapt a evolution of the human form, and how basically by developing different personalities, you could develop strengths and you can develop immunities. Some personalities that Kevin has have basically diabetes and others don't. And how one personality has to take these shots for diabetes, the insulin shots, I believe they're called. And when he switches to another personality, he doesn't have diabetes anymore. Or how he can become indestructible, and how he can become this huge monster that has unpierceable skin, and then he can just switch back to a regular human being. Kevin is going down these stairs, and he just keeps going down, and the stairs are basically like a spiral type of staircase. And I thought it was a cool detail to do because he's basically going through a downward spiral where he's losing control of his body and he's losing control of his personalities. There's this really shameless cameo that Shyamalan did where he's basically looking at the cameras, the security camera footage. I thought that was unnecessary, and it just didn't add anything to the story. Like, it's a part in the movie where the shrink is watching the cameras to see how Kevin is when he leaves the office. And there's these jokes about hooders, and there's these basically back and forths between the shrink and Shyamalan. And I just thought it kind of broke the fourth wall, and it was kind of stupid. It wasn't necessary. I think it kind of ruined a little bit the movie for me. There's a really cool part where Hedwig shows Casey his room, and he puts on this song, and it's so cool because he does this like really cool dance. And according to Shyamalan, that dance represents a person that dies and comes back to life as a zombie. And I thought that was a cool little detail. It isn't an M. Night Shyamalan movie without a twist. So right now we're gonna go into the part of this show where we call Danger Zone. So spoilers ahead, brace yourself. I think it's really cool that the weakness of this character, of this villain, is basically his true name, his full true name. Like, it's so cool how he's a person that has 21 personalities, but the one thing that makes him weak, the one thing that will basically make him lose his power is if you say his full name. I really, really like the ending when you discover that Casey was basically molested when she was a kid, and how the monster, which is the beast, when he finds out that Casey was molested by her scars in her body, when the beast notices, he thinks of her as a pure being. He doesn't think that she's just another teenager that's impure, but she's been through some trouble. And he also thinks that she's superior to others because the damaged ones are the pure ones and the stronger ones. In the very end, when Casey gets in the cop car and the cop says, "Hey, your uncle's here to pick you up," and we know the truth about the uncle and how she was molested by her uncle, I thought that was unfair. I thought that was unnecessary. I think that's a very common mistake to do as a film student, when you make your character go through trauma and make them go through all these horrible things, and then at the very end she doesn't even get a happy ending. Like, she has to go back to her child molester uncle. I thought that was unfair, and I think that was unnecessary. I didn't really like that ending, to be honest. Not because it wasn't realistic. It wasn't necessary to do that. It didn't feel necessary to add that. At the end, when Kevin goes to the train station and is about to become the beast, he buys some flowers and he goes to the train station and he lays those flowers on the train tracks. Not on the train tracks, but over the train tracks, on the platform where you wait for the train. And I think that's where his mother died. I think it was a way to say goodbye and make peace with his mother before he became the beast. But it's really hard to know what that symbolizes. But I believe that his mother died on those train tracks. And when he lays those flowers down, it's a way for him to say goodbye to his mom before he becomes the beast. In the end, when we see the news of how Kevin escaped, we see a certain character that ties to another universe that Shyamalan developed, and that is the Unbreakable universe, where we see David Dunn, who is Bruce Willis, in the coffee shop, and he mentions Mr. Glass. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I thought that was a really cool twist, because you would never know that Kevin would be the villain of Unbreakable. And it would be cool to see a movie where David Dunn faces Kevin in kind of like a realistic superhero movie. That would be kind of cool to watch. Well, guys, I think this film was really awesome. I really liked the acting, the directing was good, and even the audiovisual language was fantastic. So I'm really surprised that Shyamalan came back with such a great film. I'm gonna give this film 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. You guys are the best. Leave a like if you like this review. Next time, I'm gonna do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's coming out. I can't wait to see it. And if you guys wanna see another movie review of any type, any movie you wanna see me review, just leave it in the comments below and I'll do it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
The beast is real.